One of the things I didn't like about the oil-based paint, and this is the oil-based paint, I have to keep stirring it to keep it from separating. And this stuff separates fast. It separates in a matter of minutes. When I apply the paint, what it does is it starts to rip. And there's a little rip there that I'm trying to remove. There we go. So the surface rips, and I'm just going to paint the bottom of this extra thoroughly. So the top is going to be thinner and the bottom is going to be thorough. Look at how glossy that is versus this. This is an acceptable sheen for a kitchen cabinet. This is the water-based one right here, water-based. This is not an acceptable sheen for a kitchen cabinet. This is bullcrap. And this is the second sheen that they gave us for the kitchen cabinets. This would effectively destroy our cabinets. So this looks good for now, but I don't dare wash it right here. This looks good, don't dare wash it. This looks like crap. I mean, that's worse than IKEA, right? So that's 2 coats, that's 3 coats. 2 coats, 3 coats. Look at that finish. Awful. So a quick look at the products here. So that's a Behr oil-based enamel. That's probably their best paint at Home Depot. This is Glidden. This is a paint I've worked with many times, both water and oil-based, and it is probably the best paint I've ever used. Behr has the worst finishes of any paints I've ever used. They are hit or miss, and when I paint something with a Behr paint, it's got to be something like this trim, right? With a really crappy finish to begin with, but you can see that it's pretty good considering how old it is. Even this brick has a pretty nice look to it, even though it's ages old, ages and ages old. If you step back, it actually looks like brick, even though it's painted. What I'm going to be doing is using this gray paint to give this a little extra something. So what I'm going to do is just kind of wipe off the brush a little bit with that paint. That gives the block a little extra something when you're working with it. So here we are, I'm just touching up the block. Every time I open up a can of paint that looks like it's about the right color, I'll come back here and apply it to the block to give it a little extra something, a little more natural look. So let's take the oil-based paint here. You can see it tends to get globby and goopy almost immediately. Now here's a brick that needs a little help. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the bottom of that brick. And just kind of blend it in. Now here's a brick that needs a little help. So I'm going to just touch up the bottom of that brick and blend it in. Same thing there. I'm going to give that brick a little extra color and give that brick a little extra color. And then I'm going to clean this brush out with some turpentine, and that should be fine. But I want to come back here and show you this paint. It's already separating. So what I do is I just stir it again. See how glossy that is? Just take a look at that. Look at how glossy that's getting. That's too glossy for me to put on another layer of paint. So I'm going to come over here and, oops, I just dripped some on the ground there. Just going to work it into the block here, give the block a nicer look. There's a brick that needs a little work there. What this does is this allows me to test paints. If I plan on using the paint sometime in the future, sorry about the cinematography there, cinematography, really terrible. But this is a great way to test your paints. If you want to test the durability of a paint, is you take it outside and you paint your house with it. So I'm not going to bother with the water base. So it's pretty obvious what's going on here. So you can see here how the oil-based paint is thinning out at the top. And there the finish is somewhat acceptable. So there's not enough oil-based paint on the oil side. So the oil is thinning out and the water looks great. So this is why my wife liked the paint that she had and why she kept painting after she applied it. She trusted Home Depot and she just kept painting. She didn't know any better. She didn't know that you're not supposed to put water-based paint over oil-based surfaces. She had no way of knowing that. Try and Google that and you may not get an answer.